What's up, everyone? This is going to be something a little bit new. I haven't done something like this for YouTube in quite a while. This is going to be the first installment of what I'm calling the primer videos. And what the primer videos are going to be are it's just going to be a really short, relatively short video where I tell you guys about like some new things with 21 that I've discovered or that have been brought to my attention that you may not have heard of before. Now, some of you might really be on your stuff and might know about everything, but I doubt it. I doubt it. There's gonna be quite a lot of stuff that gets discovered as time goes on, and I just thought it wouldn't really be fair for me to not share the information with you guys, my viewers, especially the YouTube guys, because you guys don't watch as much on the Twitch, which I hope that you guys decide to switch over, tune into the Twitch channel, because we're getting closer and closer to that partnership where I'm now able to apply. We just got to keep the numbers up until they finally accept us. But without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first thing I'm going to be showing you guys about today is actually involving conversions off of Android 21's 226M, which is the diagonal version of her fireball. Now, most people, whenever they hit their opponent airborne, because that's the ideal scenario with this move, is you catch your opponent jumping, you hit them with fireball, right? Okay, now most people, whenever they go to do a conversion off of the ball, they're choosing to super dash, which is fine. They did add the ability to super dash out of vanish. You can cancel vanish with super dash to follow up like that, and that's all fine and dandy, but it turns out we can do better. So what you can do instead, and this works on every character, is M-ball, cancel into your dive instead to make it to the ground, and then continue with auto combo for a better conversion. Which results in a few hundred damage more. I believe it's around 300 damage extra. I can actually wipe the I'll wipe the damage information so you can see the difference. So once again, as you can see, if I do super dash, and of course these numbers will change with assist as well if you're trying to add that in. The 2475 on the super dash conversion, and on the dive conversion, $27.37, right? So 300 damage extra off of every vanish conversion off of this can actually be pretty significant, and might help you squeak out some kills that you might not have gotten. And like I said, some of these damage numbers are going to be altered depending on, are you adding in an assist to it, and how much damage they do as well. But I just saw this. Actually, I'd want to give a shout out to Kasuga, if you guys have heard of him. He's a very, very, very strong French Android 21. Definitely check him out. I'll leave his Twitter in the description. So this is something that I personally have known about for quite a while, ever since season 3 dropped and they allowed us to cancel our vanish into moves. But I don't think anyone had ever put it in video form. So definitely shout outs to Kasuga for making it known on Twitter that people can do that, and giving me the idea to actually put this in a video so that you guys can learn about it. So definitely shout outs to him. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing on the list here. Alright, welcome back everyone. So the second part of today's primer video is actually also going to be involving 21's M-ball, as we talked about in the last section, but this one's going to be a little different than you're used to. So first of all, let me turn off this annoying special tech, because this is not about knockdowns. This is actually about on block. So it turns out that 21's M-ball, in case you didn't know, is actually -4 on block, which is obscenely safe for a fireball. Most beams and beam properties in this game are not this safe on block. So what does this mean? That means that we can set some pretty interesting traps for our opponents if we want to get crafty. So I've chosen, as you can see on the right side of the screen, on the top right of the screen, I've chosen 3 characters that have very ignorant jabs, ignorant 5Ls, because most of the time in situations where people want to take their turn back, 5L is how they start, and these characters have 5Ls that go really far. And we're gonna talk about how this move is actually pretty crazy on block, and you can do some pretty interesting things with it. So what I have to do, since I actually want them to press after 2 hits instead of 1, is whenever I put them in block stun from the ball, I will be switching to counter attack setting jab, so I can show you guys what I'm trying to say. So first, like I said before, -4 on block, but the most important thing is how far it pushes you back, right? Now, as you can see, if I were to do ball on block, he gets his turn back, right? He does get his turn back after doing ball on block. It is -4, but he would get his turn back. Now, we don't want that. So what do we do instead, right? How can we adjust what we do to trap them? So it turns out what you need to do is any string, you could do any string in the game, into 5H into ball. And now you can see the pushback, the distance between me and UI. Like, look at the difference here. So this is just ball on block. Okay, now when we do 5H ball, and the pushback is much further. That means that these characters, even the characters that have the ignorant jabs, do not reach after being pushed back, which is a really big deal. This is a really big deal. So this is what I call the M ball trap. So what you can do is any block string, end with M ball. If they jab, with punish. M starter, fat juicy damage here. This is not a hit they want to be taking. If you have meter like I do, hold this level 3, right? Huge damage and opportunity. Also, it's a great way to disengage. So even if you don't want to steal a turn and try to hit them for taking their turn back, you can just escape. You can flee the scene, as I call it. So Vegito's is actually interesting because the last hit, the last hit of his 5L will actually make contact with you, as you can see there. But you have so much time because it's only -4 to leave before that, so you don't have to take the chance trying to challenge back. So if you try to 5M, right? If you try to 5M Vegito, you'll actually get hit because it's very active, as you can see. My 5M gets stuffed. That being said, there are other ways that you can punish Vegito because you're free to jump. You're free to jump and do whatever you want since he can't actually lock you down. So this is huge. This is really big. There's actually, I've tested it, there's not a single jab in the game that can force you to block after 5H M ball. There's not a single jab in the game. It does not work. Okay. Now, there might be some particular M buttons in the game that can. I have not tested all of them. But M buttons are naturally slower, and keep in mind this move is -4, so it would have to be pretty fast and cover a ton of distance in order for it to actually lock you down. Now, important things about this. First of all, it is worth noting that 5H into M ball does not jail, right? So keep that in mind. As you can see here, does not jail, and this will leave you -10, which means that he can just straight up punish you on this. It is a special move. You cannot whiff, cancel, vanish. It's technically not a whiff here. You could just do it anyway, but you could just get 2H and die. So I wouldn't recommend it. So this does not jail. Keep that in mind. That being said, dives do jail. So the amount of times that people are mashing reflect out of 5H is not going to be very often. It's the same principle as when you try to EX ball someone, right? Like the amount of times you have EX ball reflected is not very much because she does have good jailing options out of her normal block strings, but most people just respect it. That being said, this is a very conditioning heavy thing to work into your gameplay, and I just wanted to make you guys aware because it's pretty silly that it's that safe on block to begin with. And I just thought it was really interesting the way the pushback multiplies so that you can get some pretty nasty punishes. And like this is something that can win you tournaments, I promise. Like it can, because high pressure people usually default to doing like things that they're most comfortable with. They're like, oh, it's my turn, it's dead fireball, it has to be my turn next, right? And then you're like, well, Not exactly, sir. It's not that simple, right? So just wanted to make you guys aware of that, and we were going to move on to the next part of the primer. Alright people, we've come to the last part of today's primer, and this is going to actually be talking about Android 21's defense, which is actually the worst part of the character, for sure. That being said, I've noticed a lot of new Android 21s are getting away with certain things that they technically should not get away with. So this is valuable information, both as someone who plays 21, as well as someone who runs into a lot of 21s nowadays, because there's just way more people playing her, which is a good thing. But I just want to make sure you guys have the information, because I think some of the perceptions of what she can do in certain situations have been kind of warped by some of the better players out there playing the character and getting away with things. And you know, then I see everyone in chats and everything like, oh my god, this character is so ignorant, so broken, and like, they're right, but there's definitely counterplay to some of the stuff that has been done. So we're going to talk about it here. So what I'm noticing a lot is people are getting hit as 21, and they are up teching, right? So I'm actually going to set this to up tech. Okay, they're up teching and they're pressing command grab. Now there's a lot of different things that go into what I'm about to tell you guys. First of all, it is worth noting that the Saiyan command grab is the only frame 1 invulnerable move that she has, and it's air invulnerable, it's not ground invulnerable. Okay, so what's happening to a lot of people is that they are putting her in block stun, or they are knocking her down, and they are trying to chase text traditionally, and they're getting grabbed like so, right? And you'll see this happen to a lot of people. They overextend after their knockdown Oki, and in normal characters you'd be okay to go up there and challenge, but since it is both a grab and frame 1 air invulnerable, you cannot chase her after text in that manner. Now that being said, that does not mean it's a checkmate after you've knocked her down. It can still be safe jumped. As you can see, right? So she goes for it, and I'm still able to IED, press a button, and not be grabbed, right? And we can talk about like what you can do to punish afterwards. That kind of depends on your character's hitboxes and what options that they have. For Bardock in particular, I believe most of the time 236M will actually make contact here. Yeah, it will. So that is an option that he has. Other characters can 2H, like for example, I'll bring in my own 21 here. Actually, yeah, this might not be a good idea because the way knockdowns are. Let me go mid screen. Yeah, so as you can see here, I can even do IDJH, right? And you do have to be quick. It is something that you should pay attention to at all times, and like I think that's the real problem that people are having against 21, is that they're not paying attention to what steal she has, because what steal she has changes the options that she has, especially on defense. And this Saiyan command grab is the most important one. The most important one to have to play around, because like I said, it's the only one that's frame 1 invulnerable. So if you do not pay attention, you can get grabbed trying to chase text. But if you are aware and you go for your traditional safe jumps, you can at least get your turn back, if not get a punish. You do have to be pretty fast to get a 2H punish with some characters. Others have, you know, other moves that they can just use to follow up, but this is like guaranteed to get your turn back at the very least. As long as you're, you know, not super slow. Now let's talk about in the corner, right? So you might have seen people also do something similar after standard knockdowns in the corner, right? Because, right, it is frame 1 invulnerable. So if you go for an IED or if you go for a normal jump in, she can press it and be safe. Now that being said, there's actually a really important caveat that people are not considering when it comes to this move, and that is the Saiyan command grab does not hit on crouchers, right? So if I just crouch here, as you can see, it whiffs over my head, which means that all we have to do is change the way that we safe jump. So now I'm going to do the same exact safe jump, but hold down back instead of holding just straight back. And I get a very nice safe jump, and the command grab whiffs, which means we actually get a fat, juicy punish here. As you can see, right? So, very, very important. If you knock her down and she ground techs, honestly, on any tech, what you want to do is you want to safe jump and hold down back. That will keep you safe from both up tech Saiyan command grab and just reversal Saiyan command grab on wake up on jump ins. And in the case of the grounded one, you just get a free M punish. In the case of the air one, it's a little more complicated because it does recover pretty quickly. So some characters do have options to punish, i.e. Bardock does have something very nice to punish in the form of 236M, but not every character has that luxury. Whoops, I don't know why I did J2H. Right. So you'll have to experiment with your particular character to see what they have to deal with this situation, because it will come up, I promise. It will come up, and it's very important to know how to deal with this particular option, because a lot of the newer 21s are just pressing this and they're getting free hits because people are inexperienced against the character and they don't know how to deal with this particular option, because it is a very strong move. This move is definitely broken. It's really, really strong. But as I said before, there is counterplay to it, and if you just keep yourself aware, you can get some really fat free punishes on an unsuspecting 21 player. So to close out, I just want to you might be wondering, well, what about her other reversals? Well, as I said before, this is the only frame 1 invulnerable move that she has. Frame 1 air invulnerable move. Aside from level 3, of course, we're not talking about level 3 because we know we can safe jump that. But her other moves are frame 4, so she still gets meatied, and she just gets hit by regular safe jumps here. Don't have to worry about anything if she does ground tech. She just gets hit for pressing this on reversal, so we don't worry as much about these. But you do still want to be aware, right? You still force her to block in those situations since it is frame 4. She can actually not do any of the nonsense that she can do with Saiyan command grab, as long as you're not a potato like that and miss your safe jump. Right? Nice and easy. Don't really have to worry about too much. This goes for barrier as well. I'll just show that off really quick just because. Why not? Oops. Right, counter hit. It's frame 4. Don't have to worry about it. So, Saiyan command grab is by far the most important to have to worry about, since it is frame 1 invulnerable, and it also recovers quickly. So when she has that steal, just keep that in mind. Like I said, safe jump, hold down back, both will whiff. You'll never get hit by it, but what you don't want to do is like dash jump into like an up tech or something like that and try to chase traditionally, because you will get grabbed and it will not feel good at all. You'll be like, man, this character is really stupid. I hate this character. So I just wanted to keep you guys aware of that. And that is the end of the primer for today. I really appreciate you guys clicking on the video. If you liked it, make sure you like and subscribe below. Like I said, I'm going to try to do this like relatively regularly to try to keep you guys up to date on like the technology for 21 and everything that's going on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.